Welcome back to Reality Realness with 3 S's. I'm your host here, Chantele Francis, with my amazing co-host, Jonathan. How are you today, Jonathan?
I'm good. I'm very good, thank you. How are you?
I'm great. I've been watching the feeds, and I just wish that the feeds really told, like this episode told the story what went on the feeds, because this was a week. This week has been the craziest week in Big Brother history. Azza was right at the end of the episode. So I wish that it translated as chaotic as it actually was to be watching. But I love the episode still. I love this cast. I really enjoyed it, and I'm excited to talk to you about it. What did you think on overall?
Well, I'm a non-feed watcher, so I don't know the behind-the-scenes stuff. Today's episode was nice.
Nice. Okay, well,
Nice. It's nice.
Get this out of the way.
It wasn't amazing, but yeah, it was fine.
Just remember to subscribe, help us out. Come hang out with us, chat with us in the chat room. This is a little community, a little family of reality TV junkies. So subscribe, please, and share with your friends. So, yeah, it definitely did not show a lot of what was going on. And so for the fact that the episode was just, okay, that's what's really frustrating with me, because I've been the feeds have been insane. Like, they've been up until 7 a.m. strategizing. There's 15 alliances that are going on, and they've showed one alliance that suited the narrative they want to share.
I will say, even the little that they've shown, though, I feel like I've missed 3 weeks. I'm like, so I don't know if they could fit in that much without it seeming more jarring and just kind of disconnected.
Hi, VP. I have a long night in front of me. Oh, because I'm doing The Bachelorette right after. Yes, today is a day of podcasting. It's just what I'm going to be doing today. But thanks for being here. How'd you like the episode? Yeah, well, okay, you really have missed a lot. I don't know really what I can fill you in on. I don't even know. Honestly, it was so nuts. The first night, nuts.
What they did successfully, though, is show, and I think I've kind of figured this out from speaking to you and stuff, is that I felt as if Frenchie's just the spiral of paranoia and craziness, and that was very evident. So we were able to see that today, at least.
Well, and that's I'd say that's on a small scale. That's about maybe a 2 out of 10 on what his actual
and he
scale of.
And, yeah.
He flip-flops. Okay, so I don't know if I told you already, but just to lay this out, is that they've been painting the narrative that he wasn't intending on putting up a woman, right? Yeah. And so they showed that in the last couple episodes, a woman is not my target, a woman is not my target, a woman is not my target. True, but he also said people of color. Mm-hmm. So that is something that they haven't been portraying, is the fact that he promised that no person of color or any woman was going to touch the block.
Yeah. And they just said the first 4 that he was with, or the 3 others, and a woman. Yeah, they haven't showed that aspect of it.
Not at all. And so realistically, he only had 3 people to choose from in the beginning. So Brent was his number 1 target, which they haven't showed at all that he originally was his number 1 target. And then, I guess they showed it last episode.
They showed it last episode that he was, and then he spoke to him, and then everything was resolved. He's like, oh, I really like him. Okay.
And so then Christian, so that's the other person that's not a POC and not a woman. And Travis, he made a deal with. So he basically wanted Brent to go home, Travis to be, up beside him, and that was going to be his easy peasy week. He went against everything, and then now he's in an alliance with all the people that he put up. So should I tell you about the alliances?
If you want, I'm sure they're all going to change by next week anyway. But
no, well, this one, so
I know of the cookout because they showed the cookout.
Correct.
And I love that.
The one major alliance is the slaughterhouse that Frenchie has started. Now, he started it with pretty much everybody except for Derek, X, and Travis, I believe. At one point, he talked to them about having a big alliance, an 8-person, 9-person alliance. Even though this is what we are trying to go against, because we don't want to have one of those major alliances dominating a season. Hold on, let's just see what B-Bean is saying here. Production is still making Frenchie look like a bit normal in the episodes. Absolutely, he's a loose cannon. Just a tiny bit, Jonathan. On the feeds, Frenchie is cray-cray.
I mean, It seems it. I was watching, and it seemed like he was like you couldn't. I wouldn't want to say two words to him, but at the same time, I wouldn't want to like not say two words with him because it's like eggshells. And I would if I was in the house, I'd want him gone ASAP because I can't be around someone who's that unpredictable. You don't know what they're going to do.
Exactly. Like we saw in the very beginning of the episode that Derek, who's supposed to have a final two with him, Derek F, is like, we have a final two, and I have no idea what he just did and why he just did it. So he created the slaughterhouse. He told many people about it, but the people that officially made the cut are Alyssa and Whitney are the two women that are in the slaughterhouse.
Okay.
Then the guys are, and Bean, if I get this wrong, just let me know. So the guys are Xavier, Christian, Brent, himself, and Derek F. And then the guys minus one of them, I'm not sure, is the butcher. So there's a butchers within the slaughterhouse, and that's like an 8-person alliance that he has built. But more people than those 8 know about it.
I really do think, though, that like whoever wins HOH next week, everything is going to change. Even that, because I mean, I don't know. Are they going to protect Frenchie? Are they not?
No, well, I think they are going to protect Frenchie. Because,
I mean, that's good for my draft, but
I know it is good for my draft. Is like not in a good position right now. Oh, and I just don't like anybody on my draft with you, like except for Claire.
You're all making fun of my draft, but now it's looking pretty safe this week.
No, well, maybe this week, but
this week. I'm not gonna be the first one.
Okay, so that's one alliance. The another alliance that's going on is the Sirens, which is, man, I can't remember. I can't keep them all straight. Sirens is Tiffany, Azah, Brittany, and Claire, I think it is. Then there's also the Jackpot, which is just Tiffany, Claire, and Azah, or no, Brittany. Oh my God. And then there's a new one that was just built yesterday, which is Frenchie's Kisses, which is pretty much all those women and Frenchie. And now with that alliance that Frenchie goes and made it with these women, and they're all kind of like, oh, well, we have to say yes to every alliance. And then Frenchie goes and outs that alliance to...
I'm going to get my dog because he's going to bark 1 second. I'll be back.
No problem. Yes, back to this. So BB, I think that he only knows how to be responsive in Twitter and in the Twitter universe. I don't think he actually understands how nuanced and how to be strategic in the actual game. I think he just knows how to comment on the game or comment on people's actions from a peripheral state, as opposed to being someone that's in it and can see everything that's happening around him or her and make the appropriate choice to benefit their game. He thinks he's doing the right thing. He thinks he's protecting himself on all ends, and he's really just making people feel that he's really shady. So Frenchie goes and takes the French Kisses Alliance information that he started and says that the women are starting an alliance and they invited him in it. And so basically the slaughterhouse wants to target a woman next week on his list. It's going to be Sarah Beth and Claire are the two people that side of the house wants to target. Derek X is kind of in the mix of like people wanting to target him because of some lies that Frenchie kind of told about him, and Derek X admitted to some things that he actually didn't really do because he didn't really know what he was admitting to, and he doesn't know how to play the game. He's not a super fan, even though we thought he might have been a bit of a fan. He's a recruit. So him and Travis are both recruits.
Hold on. I'm getting used to everyone's names still. So Derek X. Who's F and who's X?
X is, I think his last name is Zhao.
Okay.
Derek F is Boxer, yeah. Boxer's son. They call him Big D and Little D in the house, but it's a little bit disrespectful, right. I think. Gotcha. Even though Big D wanted people to call him that.
Yeah, I remember him saying that. Yeah, he's like, "I'll be Big D."
So there's that. And so with all these alliances, he's actually made other alliances, and he has final two with now Brent, and I think he made a final two today with Whitney, and it's just like it's just a lot. It's always like he's walking into other rooms, pacing, not talking to people, but like going into the room to break up conversations. Fine, but like hang out then. He didn't participate. Last night there was a Toga birthday party. He wouldn't participate. They were playing Mafia. I don't know. He just like puts himself on the outside, but then he's making all these alliances. He just makes people feel so uneasy. And I feel as though next week he will still be protected for the most part because people are afraid to break their word, that they promised that he would be safe. And if they went against that, they would feel bad. He doesn't feel bad because he even said, Travis, I'm never putting you up. And it was hardest for him to break that promise. But he still like breaks promises left, right, and center. Anyways, he's just such a mess.
I feel like he can be in a lot of trouble. I feel like as soon as someone else is in power, and if that person's like, no, I don't want Frenchie to be here, people can really snowball on that. It's just talk about playing too hard, too fast. Like it's like you should know that. That's like 101, right?
It's beyond
straight out the gates.
For a super fan, that's like it's not even mistakes. It's just it's cray cray. It really is cray cray. There's no I mean, I know what he's trying to do a little bit because I do feel that he's trying to be performative. He's part of the BB Twitter universe. So I think that he wants to show that he's inclusive and that he has friends of different backgrounds and that like, I feel like he does want to have that narrative about himself. And so that's why he's making these big, broad strokes, these big claims of like, I want to protect these certain peoples on my HOH, but then he goes against them because it's not who he truly is. I don't think. I think he's pretending to be someone that he's not 100%.
You just can't promise everyone everything. And like,
exactly.
Well, I don't know what the saying is, but there's something about good intentions, like you can have a lot
of a paved road. Is it about a paved road?
I don't know, full of good intentions or something, but it's like, it's like, that's the thing. It's like, you can have all these, like, you can really want it. But I mean, the reality of it is that you've put yourself in a position, especially this season where we're starting off in groups already. You can't just go around like, he's 5 seconds in the house promising people safety before he won HOH or anything. So
before he knows anybody. Oh, and yeah, like he's like on the hunt for showmances. And it's just like relax, like let people just get to know each other how they get to know each other. And little does he know or realize or care, but Whitney and Brent are basically canoodling all the time. I don't know if they have a showmance going, but that Whitney wants a showmance for sure. Well, and
I think he has like an opinion of like when he's watching it at home. Like I would be the same thing. I'd be like, oh, I don't love showmances. I would target them as well. But when it comes down to it, it's like you can't do everything all at once in 1 week, and when the first week, all at the same time. It's like you can, I don't know. I can't. His game can't be explained. I mean, we should just not even talk about it. It's just he's crazy. But he's on my draft, and I hope he does well. So
he can't do well. I just don't think that I'd be able to handle it. This last week has been really stressful, just as a viewer, and just watching. Like the energy in that house must be not fun, like so heightened. They're probably gonna be just like, somebody new, and then watch it be Brent, and then everybody's gonna be like, oh my god. But back to the episode, or let's start talking about the episode. So I kind of already mentioned it already, but Derek F sees these nominations and's like, I don't know what's happening here. What is this guy doing? Like, he hasn't consulted me. He's my final two. He should be consulting me. What do you think on final twos? Like, how much information do you think that you need to share with them?
Oh, I mean, I definitely take my final twos like 100%. Like, this is it. We're locked in. If that my genuine final two, I mean, you could have multiple and not those other ones be fake, or because Frenchie does make another final two in this episode, but yeah, so it's kind of like you should tell them everything. You should feel like not only final twos, But people that you get along with in general, if you want people on your side, even people you don't get along with, if you want them on your side, be inclusive. Make them feel like you are deciding things with them, because then they will look at you that way and say, you know what, I have some influence over this person. I don't want them going, you know? And
Absolutely.
so you make this, even if you have it in your head, you know what you're going to do anyway, it doesn't matter. You need to like be that kind of, for definitely your final two, but even beyond that, just be really inclusive with other people, and not like, you know, you're setting your ways, you're making these, you know, rogue decisions. It's just yeah, you need to tell them absolutely everything and make those decisions together.
What did you think about Alyssa and how she handled being nominated out of nowhere?
I thought it was pretty good. I mean, like, she seemed on the show. It was just she kind of like spoke to him afterwards or whatever. She didn't understand it and she didn't freak out. I mean, I thought she was really boring the first episode. So I feel as if now she, you know, you can see a little bit more of her personality. I do still think she's very kind of low key, not flashy. Don't know how she got cast on the show, to be honest with you, but um, it's yeah, I thought she handled it well. You know, to turn it around seemingly and make it into, you know, being on his side and explaining it to him, and not coming across as defensive or anything like that. That's, yeah, that's she wasn't worked up over it.
I don't know how she did it. She has the patience of a saint, because if that, I don't know if I could go in and talk to him without being furious. Like I just don't know if I could,
But she's
because
very low key, so I mean, I think that's just, I don't know. Maybe she doesn't get furious. I
oh
would be flying
man.
off the handles. Don't put me in that house.
You'd be like, "Ah, where is he? Where's
Yeah,
Frenchie? I need to talk
yeah,
to him."
exactly.
So she does go in with Christian, and I wasn't sure if that was the best idea because of the fact that he wants to break them up because they're in a show, maybe a potential showmance. So I thought that it might have been better if they didn't go in together to kind of just reinforce that idea. I know that she told him, like, no, that's not a thing. We're just friends. We're just in our group alliance. Like we have a group, our group works together because it's beneficial for all of our group to stay together. So I talked to him because it makes sense. Like you talk to your team and your head of household. So what am I going to put you in a showmance with every single person that you talk to during your head of household reign? No. So I'm pretty impressed by her ability to not blow up over Frenchie, but I was obsessed with her eye rolls in the diary room about him. Like she was just like like eye rolls. That's his whole head of household reign has just been eye roll central.
Yeah, it's just so much has happened that's been like, where's this guy? I feel like because so much is like, where's this? What's happening? What's you? Maybe you're not even can't even get angry at it because it's like just like you're so just unsettled and not knowing where this is even coming from. That you're more puzzled than anything else.
I was saying, I did a live feed update that I might be like sad when it's over, but like when he's evicted, because like there's something like about his frenetic energy that you feel kind of alive. So I might miss having that like constant like fear. I don't know. It's kind of like how we watch horror movies, right? To be a little
Yeah.
bit scared and it lingers. He lingers.
Lingers.
He lingers.
I do like everyone in the house so far though. I was noticing that today. I was like, there's no one. People who I thought would be more aggressive aren't. People who I thought would annoy me for certain reasons, just their personality, haven't been. I mean, there's not even Frenchie. There isn't one person that I just think his behavior is kind of manic and all over the place. But I mean, I like everyone so far. So no one's really kind of irked me in a way that certain seasons there's several of them even right away, and I'm like, I'm making a list of who I want gone. There isn't that yet, so
I
I'm
don't really
impressed.
have that either. Maybe
Yeah,
Brent, he's a bit condescending to a lot of people. And I don't like the fact that he wants to get out a woman. He's like, it has to be a woman next week. It has to be a woman. It's like, okay, I get it. You want to keep the numbers equal, but like maybe maybe don't have that attitude. I don't know. It's not cute in my opinion. But what was I going to say? Oh, I forgot. Drat.
Mhm.
I did feel bad for Alyssa, though, right at the very beginning of the episode when she's talking to her group. And so it was Sarah, Xavier, and Christian. And she's like, well, if it could be me, it could be any of you girls, because he promised all the women safety. And she was trying not to cry. And like, that would be, she's not a super duper fan, but she knows the show. She watches it. She watches the challenge. And I would be devastated if, because this dingbat of an HOH nominated me, even though he said that he wasn't going to, and I went out week one, I would be devastated. I know she's saying that, like, you know, her friends wouldn't let her live it down, but I really would be absolutely devastated.
He did her a favor, because I would go in that house expecting to be nominated and evicted week one and figure out a way to stop that before, like, that's what my expectations would be. So instead of just sitting back and doing nothing, you're being forced to be put in a position up against the wall and make something of it. You know what I mean? So I think she could have sat there and, like, you know, just gone along with a few people here or there under the radar, some UTR kind of thing. But at the same time, it's like, you know, you're now forced to survive it and kind of probably be better off for it, the struggle, you know? So I don't know.
Absolutely. It's kind of like sometimes when you have too many loose alliances in these type of games, you just like waiting for somebody to do you wrong so that you have a target, then you don't have to like be a jerk to anybody. So it's kind of similar situation. It just like catapults you into action. There's no more complacency. Now you're fighting for your life in the game, and you're going to be making some strong bonds and start carving your actual path to the end, instead of just laying low until like jury and then come out and win some comps. Like, nope, that is not what's happening anymore. These newer seasons of Big Brother. And I'm happy that that's not happening. So You are correct, Jonathan. So poor Azza. She's on a team with Frenchie. And so she kind of has to support him. But he just is so all over the place. And she's just always like, yes, okay, yeah. And I feel like she's a little bit trapped within her poor little foursome.
Yeah, but I mean, she's playing the part. I think she was very same kind of thing. I'm like, if anyone's kind of under the radar right now, there's a few people, and she's one of them. But I think there's not much that she can do in that position. Like, he's part of your team. You know, you need to like not tick him off, but also get along with other people. And you know, I think she came in there. Oh, there goes my light again. I think she came there thinking like that she was going to do it a certain way, and she's had to alter and change that. And I really think that she's done a good job with that, you know?
Definitely. Like, she came in, she's like, I'm going to target the first head of household, and she can't do that anymore. She has to like completely change her strategy because she can't nominate him. Well, not at least for the next 4 weeks. So that's very interesting, though, that she has to pivot. The game has forced her to play differently than she was anticipating, which is quite exciting. And it probably will make her play better because she's going to be a little bit more like ready to go, as opposed to like, oh, I know what I'm going to do. Like, this is my strategy, and just playing along the strategy. She has to.
I think when she has to go hard, people will be surprised because they wouldn't have seen that from her just yet. So. I think she has a lot of potential in the game, and I'm looking forward to seeing where that takes her. There's a lot of potential this season. I think it's not like, you know, last year we were kind of like knew where it was going to go right from week one, and it was kind of like, you know, defined already. This year, I feel like, I mean, it was different. It wasn't all new people, but this year I feel like there's just so much that could happen in so many different ways that it's really exciting.
Yeah, I mean, I really have no idea who is going to win this game. Like, there's no direct, easy path for anybody. It's like, it's really anybody's game, and that's exciting. And that I would be happy with a good majority of the people winning this game, which is also very cool. Hi, Ryland. How are you? Are you being a good boy?
No, he's not.
Ryland, are you going to get in trouble?
I'll hear his name. Who's that?
Hi.
Is that Reality Realness? Chantele?
Reality Realness.
Yes. Are you
so cute?
Subscribed? Yes, he has.
Oh, but does he subscribe? Good. So Frenchie thinks that he might have made a mistake, and I'm just like, come on, like, oh, I made a mistake. Oh, my charge is gone. I might have, like, why didn't he think about this more? You know, like he had
if
so
he
much.
shared his ideas with his final two, someone could talk you down from you're crazy. So, you know what I mean? Yeah.
He thinks that he's, and that's something that you don't see, is him talking to the cameras about how he's a super genius and that like everybody in the house is like not as smart as he is, and like he's just running the house. I'm just like, you realize next week you will have no power unless somebody from your group wins.
Right? I actually can't wait to see that. I would like to know how he behaves when he's put in a vulnerable position. So
I mean, he could go up on the block. He really could. Like, some people really didn't enjoy playing this week with him. It was too chaotic. And then this kind of bothered me. It took away from the like a beautiful moment that Sarah was sharing with Frenchie asking about the letters of the LGBTQ2S community. And I'm like, Frenchie, do you really need to ask her what the letters are? Really, Frenchie? Like, I do feel that he set that up so he can have this moment surrounding himself, so Twitter can see, like, look at that. He's a champion for people that are diverse. You know, he's for the LGBTQ2S community. He's really like, he's a good man, that Frenchie. And I think it was purely performative and using Sarah Beth's vulnerability and her story in order for him to gain some clout with his Twitter friends. Like, I found it distasteful.
Yeah, I mean, it was quick. I think I was eating grapes at that point, but so I don't know if I fully grasped all of that, but I did hear her talk about that, and I didn't even notice Frenchie come in. But I think he's probably trying to put himself.
No, Frenchie started the conversation. So Frenchie was on like the bed or the daybed thing, and he's like, "So is it LG?"
I'm like, you know what it stands for.
Exactly. Like, come on. I was so annoyed that I couldn't even listen to Sarah's story. And she was talking about being a bisexual woman and that it would just be easier for her to date a man, but she's in a relationship with a woman and having conflict with her family and feeling out of place and feeling guilty about how she feels about her partner. I thought it was a really nice story, but I felt it was like Frenchie trying to suck something out of that moment. So it made me irritated. I was tweeting. You know something bugs me if I'm tweeting about it, because I don't tweet. And I was tweeting about that little incident. So Vivian says in other chats, I read multiple times that Frenchie's sister is very disappointed in his gameplay. Yes, I did see her tweet once that she wished that he was there. She was there with him so she could help him out a little bit, because hasn't been impressed by his gameplay. You know, he has a book apparently of like, you know, all the wrong moves that people have done in Big Brother history. Like, what is he going to say on his chapter?
Yeah, I mean, that's the thing. It's like, you can kind of go in knowing all this, but once you get in there, you need to like have a really good control of yourself and your impulses. Yeah. You can have all the information in the world, but it's not going to do anything if you can't help how you're acting and interacting with people and strangers. And, you know, so I would like, if I was going in, I'd really make sure I was very self-aware, or try to be as self-aware as possible, and try to work on that and myself in order to get myself further with other people. 100%. I wonder if he's done any like socialization kind of, you know, games outside of that have really kind of tested that. And
I haven't heard of anything. But I have to agree. When I originally played a live reality version of Big Brother just over a couple of days a few years ago, and the first time I played, like, we're playing for like a plastic trophy, but the games were pretty realistic and like very true to Big Brother's style and form, and it was as close as you can get without going on the actual show. And my heart was beating, and like I was really like, okay, if I ever get on the actual show, I can't do this. I definitely will have shaky hands. Like, oh my god, like I actually realized how much nervous I'm be, and like that I'm not great at lying to people's face. Like, you know what I mean? Like, you notice all these new things that you didn't realize that were going to be something that you were going to have to overcome within your game. So I 100% agree that playing maybe some of these social experiment type games, so online reality experimental games, like that would allow you just to see how you'd react in these kind of situations, you know?
Yeah. Oh, absolutely.
So I think they should all go through like a training ground. Maybe that's what we should start. It's like, let's do Big
Reality,
Brother
realness,
training school.
boot camp.
Yes.
Or you can have like Charm School.
Yes.
Remember that
Yes.
reality show, Charm School?
I just remember the name. I don't remember what it was all about.
Oh, Sharon Osbourne hosted a season. Monique hosted a season. Yeah, it was all like the Rock of Love girls and some other groups, kind of like Flavor Flav's group of girls. They would all kind of come in and learn manners and how to behave with other people.
I kind of remember. I do. I'd have to, if I went back and watched it, I'd be like, oh yes, I totally remember it, but it literally was probably
So
17
good.
years ago.
It's a rewatch. It's worth a rewatch.
I think that people might be mad at me for saying this, but I've never seen the original Flava Flav.
I've seen all of them, so I got you on that. Okay. I got it.
I've seen Rock of Love with Brett Michaels, but I didn't see Flava Flav's seasons.
You didn't see that
Tiffany
woman
Pollard.
Oh, New York's so good.
New York.
Like Pumpkin, and that one that pooped on the floor.
You've told me about the poop on the floor before, but I've not seen this
during
show.
like a ceremony, and she had to go upstairs. Anyway, I'm just saying, you missed a lot.
I do need to see this. I've been told I need to see it. It's on my list of rewatch. I was actually going to do a rewatch of it with Couch Potato Queens, but then like Big Brother, something started earlier than we were anticipating, so we're just like we didn't have enough downtime in between. So that is why I didn't end up watching Flava Flav's show.
Although, I mean, even those things, like being like watching those, and it really, you can watch everything and all this reality stuff, but until you actually live it, it is blasphemy. I agree.
I'm sorry, Bibine. I didn't mean to disappoint, but I just wanted to be honest. I wanted to share something with me. It's me being vulnerable here. A little bit of vulnerability goes a long way.
I mean, the trashiest reality television I have watched, I promise you, I've seen all episodes, so I got it.
I've seen most things. You know, I started, The Simple Life. I've even seen all of those, The Swan.
Oh, of course, yeah.
Beauty and the Geek.
Yeah. Oh, the Australian version as well?
Get out of here!
I've seen it.
I don't even know where I'd find that one. I mean, I guess I could.
They even have a season where all the women are from the U.S. and the men are Australian.
I have missed that. People used to call me New York, and I'm like, I haven't seen the show, guys, so I don't even know why you'd call me that. Not really like Nick and Tiffany at all.
Oh, Tiffany's a good character. I mean, she cracks me up. I mean, she's a horrible person, I'm sure, but good character to watch. I
mean, I recently watched her on X on the Beach UK Celebrity Edition. She was on that one, so that was fun to see Tiffany Pollard come out of the ocean.
Like rent free in my head, David's dead. Her on Big Brother UK.
Yes,
like the best clip I think that there exists.
I should find that actually, and I'm going to post that on my YouTube because that's a good clip. Definitely a good clip.
Yeah.
So we get to Frenchie thinking he's a mastermind and he's laying a trap for Derek X because he's eavesdropping at a door, and while he's eavesdropping, they're having a little bit of a conversation about Frenchie being cray-cray and that he's starting fires and then putting them out, and he's the one starting the fires and then he's the one putting them out. Like they clocked him on that because that's what he was doing. He would create a big mess and then he'd be like, don't worry, I got this. I got you. I'm going to take care of it. It's like, well, let's just not make the big flyer in the first place. So go ahead.
Like, Frenchie, how do you feel like opening a door, looking around, and then exiting? How is that ever going to be? It feels like your father. You're like parents growing up or something. who would be like, open the door, just see what you're doing in the room, and then like leave. And you're like, can you leave me alone? Like, it's just, it feels very intrusive. And so, just, but like simple things like that, like pop in, be like, oh, I was looking for, pick someone who's not in that room. And, or, and then excuse yourself to leave. It's just, he's just, what I've seen on the show is just crazy. Like the behavior is just, there's no idea, self-awareness of how other people view him. And I think he is being, manipulated too, because like people are coming in kind of like whispering certain things in his ear and he's believing it right away. Like, oh, I'm not in a showmance. Oh, go after this person instead of this person. And he's like, yeah, you're right, I should, and it's so, I don't know. I think he's like just thinks he's way better than he
He
is.
thinks he's a genius. Like he's
not good at all, I don't think.
He's not good at all. He has no idea what's actually going on in the game. And even in that moment when Tiffany goes out the door, she saw the camera. I believe there's a shadow on the door, and she went to go, and she's like, I'm just gonna leave and see what happens, just to see who the shadow was. And so that was intentional, that she went to go and see who was standing behind the door, and she just played it off like, oh. That she just like,
but that like that, I'd be doing that day one. I'd be like, to my number two, I'd be like, you stand on that side of the door, let me see if I can see you, or if I can hear you. Like you'd be testing out all your little secret areas that you can have conversations and stuff like that, and judge if you can, like, okay, you go to the bathroom, see if you can hear me from the. I'd be doing that in secret all the time, like figuring out.
Absolutely, that would be like my fun.
Sneaking around like waters untested. I'm like, that's crazy. So
I would totally be doing that too, being like, like if you hear me do like 2-3 knocks, that somebody's coming, or like a cough.
Can you hear me whispering if I have this door closed? Okay, I'm talking at this level. Could you hear that? Could you hear? I'd be like testing. I mean, they'd think I'm crazy too, but I would do it with like one other person, so I didn't look like a manic.
Absolutely, you do it with one other person, or like you would, or you would also like listen and be like very cognizant of like, okay, when is it when I can start hearing them talk when I walk into a room? It's like, okay, about here. And so, and then you can make adjustments accordingly.
File it away. Yeah.
Yes. I mean, filing away so much information, and I don't think that he does that really. He files away like random bits of information that he thinks that people are going to appreciate.
And that's why winning HOH in week 1 is not great, because it doesn't allow you to have that week to really kind of gather just the ins and outs of the house, like how things work. Well,
he hasn't been sleeping in the head of household room. He's actually been sleeping downstairs, because he doesn't want to, miss anything and have people talking about him. Like, you see, one of his biggest problems is people starting an alliance without him knowing about it. And I mean, yeah, I get it. You don't want people to start alliances because, it's your head of household, whatever. But like, people are allowed to talk. Like, you can't just stop people from talking because you are nosy.
It's very reminiscent of an employer of mine, maybe current, maybe past, current, who would not allow other people to laugh like in other rooms, because they were concerned that you were laughing or speaking about them. So it's it was very reminiscent of that kind of stuff when you talk about Frenchie in that way. And I'm like, it's just, no one likes to be around people who are that intrusive in their own space. Like when you're like walking on eggshells around them, when you can't trust telling them anything, or what you're hearing from them necessarily is not going to be, not even just not the truth, but it's like they swear something to you and then the next day it's something completely different. It's just like, no one's going to like playing with that. So he really needs to like get lucky next week and change all of that real quick.
I don't think he will.
Or else he's not going to last very long.
I don't think they'll let him go to the jury. That's one conversation that I don't think they'll end up showing. Tiffany has been talking to Hannah a lot about who they want to have be in the jury. So who are the next people that they want to be going? Like, what's their order? And I think that's a smart way to be thinking, like, okay, we need to make sure that we get one of these 5 people out before jury, so we know that these people are who's going to be voting for the winner no matter what. And so that's kind of what Tiffany and Hannah have been talking about while they're while they've been in the house. And I haven't heard or seen anybody else having those kind of conversations. They're just kind of like, the two next targets seemingly are Sarah Beth and Claire, as I told you. And then from the Tiffany side of things is Whitney and Brent kind of thing. Brent is a target, Whitney just because they're a duo. She doesn't particularly dislike Whitney, but because they kind of come as a pair, they would probably put those two people up.
I have a question about today's episode. Where was Hannah? And why isn't she part of the cookout?
She's like an extended member. As far as I've seen,
because
she hasn't.
They said they were like she wasn't in today's episode. I feel like at all. And then they were talking about the three of them were talking, and then they were like, okay, yeah, the four of us. When
and then Kyland.
And then they mentioned that, but there was no mention of Hannah.
She's an honor. She's not a full member, but she's like an honorary member. She gets like they bring her into conversations, but I don't think she's like privy to like the name kind of thing.
Right.
I think
really wasn't in this episode at all.
She hasn't really been on the feeds that much at all either. She's been quite quiet, and people are becoming a little bit suspect of her, thinking that she's really smart. And she could end up on the block. She's somebody that people are not the cookout side of things, but the slaughterhouse side of things are kind of like, oh, I don't know about her. She does have Whitney in her camp on that side because they're part of the same team. So she might be protected there with the slaughterhouse, but her name has come up a little bit. And also Alyssa is having a lot of kind of girl competitiveness with her, asking, I can't remember who she asked, but asking one of the guys, I think it might have been Brent, or is it Christian? One of the guys, like, oh, like is something like, am I number 2 for prettiest? Like, is Hannah prettier than me or something? I can't remember the exact phrasing. It's just kind of like, you're stunning, she's stunning. Like, can't you guys just be stunning at the same time? Like, without having to be who's more pretty than the other person?
Yeah, it's like what we're doing now. We're both stunning.
I know, we're just stunning. How can we compete with our stunningness? We can't.
It can exist. It can coexist.
Exactly. Together we become like a double stunning unit.
Yeah. And Bibine, you Bibine.
Yes. So this is where we kind of get introduced to the cookout. I love that alliance coming together. Derek F. He's not that loyal to the cookout. I don't know if you'll ever see it play out on the feeds unless something actually plays out and happens, but he's more loyal to Frenchie than he is to the cookout, which is really frustrating because Tiffany talks a lot to Derek F because they're in alliance together and they all share similar cultural backgrounds. So, of course, they're going to be a little more candid with each other. And so I'm always just like, oh, Tiffany, zip it, because like we don't know if he's going to go tell Frenchie or not. And basically, Tiffany was saying that she wanted to target Brent if that was going to be a possibility. And I just don't want Derek F to go tell Frenchie that Brent is Tiffany's target.
Yeah. I mean, you have to be careful with that because, he obviously doesn't want it getting out that he's leaking stuff from the cookout. But at the same time, maybe he's just super loyal to Frenchie. Like, regardless of what's happened, he's like, I said you're my final 2 and I'm sticking with it. So no matter what. So who knows?
So it does seem though they're doing the right thing where each person in the cookout kind of has their own other person that they have, their parachute. And so I could be wrong, but I believe Tiffany's parachute is Claire. Kylan has Sarah Beth. They have a final 2. Xavier is most likely Alyssa is who I would guess is Xavier's. He does a lot of like massaging and like she cuddles with him and stuff like that. So I feel like they have that kind of bond. I'm not sure who Azaz is, and Derek F. It might even be Frenchie, which is just annoying. But everybody does have their little parachute, so I think it's a good thing though for their longevity in the game, getting information from people outside of their group. So, yes, Derek is going to keep his final 2 with Frenchie, which I don't know why. Maybe he's becoming the person that you drag to the end because, you'll win beside him. And, like, no, guys, it's too early for you to be dragging Frenchie to the end. You start dragging people to the end at jury, okay? You can't start doing that. I'm sure somebody else will mess up and be a terrible enough player that you can drag them. Like, you can't take Frenchie from week 1. Would you?
No, I mean, listen, you need to like swim on your own at the first several weeks, and if you make it, you make it, and then you can like figure that out. I don't think I've ever like. I mean, I'm not dragging people. People are dragging me if I'm playing these games. But like I don't start my little like plea to be dragged until the jury element, like where
Yeah,
people are going off to jury. Yeah,
take me, keep me, you'll win.
yeah, because you're like, look, we're only like a few away from final six, or just trust me, like just take drag, because people
It's
that's when
just
people start thinking of the end more,
well,
right?
people
So
seem to be thinking of the end this week, and I'm just like,
you're like, you just
there's
started.
80
Calm
days
down.
left, like 80 days, like literally so much time left. Just relax, the game is going to be completely different than from this
There'll be a
today.
burnout. Like you don't want someone burning out, and burnouts could happen in many ways. Someone can like flip out and leave, or someone could just lose it on the wrong person. You can burn a bridge. I mean, take your notes, file it away, do it, plant those seeds, do what you make those connections, and calm yourself down.
Just calm down. Tiffany considers Frenchie's style of gameplay like Devin from season 16. So if you remember that one, you're just like, we got to get rid of him. He's a mess. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Same type of erratic type of behavior. So the veto competition is happening, or the picks are, so the people playing are going to be Travis and Derek X. And so these are the two people that Frenchie did not want to have be playing in the veto, because those were his next two people that he wanted to have as the replacements and even go home. And so he did not want it. Worst case scenario.
Yeah, I feel like he says that every 20 minutes. He's always like, oh, worst case.
like Big Brother 101, plan for the worst case scenario. Like, you got to. If it was easy breezy the whole time, everybody would be winning,
His last episode when he's like, the wild card competition. Worst case scenario.
Well, it's like when you put people in the line of fire, they're going to react, and their karma and like their manifestation powers are coming in there too to like save them from the game. So
for sure, if you hold up a gun to someone's in front of their face, they're gonna run away. If you do it behind their backs, they're never gonna see it coming. So it's like you need to like get people when they're not expecting it and really throw them. Not that's I feel like that's where backdoors came from. Really like giving this people a false sense of security, and then but he's kind of been very forward with what he's doing. I don't know. I don't want to talk about French. I don't know.
There's nothing like this. He's the show right now. That's why it's been so insane. But we can talk about the veto competition. So Derek F is hosting. They have to all put on their bathing suits and go in the backyard. This competition reminded me of Big Brother Canada when Trick Shot Tara won in that TikTok angling up the different like barricades or bouncing, I don't know what to call them, where they had to figure out how to like get their ball in a certain area. Ricochet. Yeah. Yes, a ricochet.
Yeah.
Angle of incidents.
I mean, OLG was the sponsor of Canada, and now there's this gambling theme with Big Brother US. I'm like copying a lot of things off of the Canadian version.
Very similar. I definitely noticed that.
But I felt that this was boring. I mean, they all can't be bangers, can they? But this was like, I didn't like the competition. I just didn't think it was very riveting. Maybe it was how it was edited too. Everyone was just frustrating me because they kept stepping on all their pieces, and I'm like, just calm down. Yeah, I wasn't really thrilled with it. Just wasn't exciting to look at, really. I mean, maybe if it was more 3D, but everything was just so flat and very colorful. But
it didn't. Yeah, I can see how it didn't land for you. So basically, what they had to do was they had on an angle, it looked like a drink of some sort. What was the name of it? It was Massive Cocktail. The BB Swim Up Bar is this competition environment, and they had to angle these different garnishes in order for them to drop their cherry down and into a certain area to win the veto.
Yeah, and so hit certain things like the banana on the way down and this, that, yeah.
And go through this little hole and hit the, I don't know, lemon.
I also don't like how they were trying to make Derek X is his name seem like he was like really smart, because there was just so much that he was doing there that was not smart. Like the straw at the top when he had it literally against the wall. I'm like, babe, you can just ricochet it off the wall if that's what you're trying to do. Like, clearly it's not, that's not the play, is having it against the wall. And if you were looking at all the others, like you said you were doing, that's why it was smarter for you to start from the bottom up. Then you would have seen that no one had their straw right next to the wall, and he was kept doing it. So, I mean, some ideas were there, like look at other people, see what they're doing, but at the same time, such subtle movements can change everything that you can't copy exactly it. It's not like you're looking at like letters that people are using and it's a definitive, placement of something. You can't, copy that exactly. So I don't know. I feel like the edit was trying to make him seem a lot smarter than he is, and he might be a very smart person. I'm just saying what actually happened didn't really show it. And
so with starting from the bottom, was he able to drop and like just like at the end, or did he always have to start at the top and see what happens down at the bottom? Like, because like it would be the best to just like, okay, let me just like get the angle this part in, let's practice that, and then just go up a little bit, angle it and practice that, and then go all the way up.
He was just working his way backwards, I think, just eyeing it. I mean, maybe he was trying it every now and again as well. But I mean, it's like a maze. Like I always do my mazes backwards.
Yeah.
That's the fastest way to do them for me. And I would have done the same thing for this. I would have started from the bottom. And then it's like when I'm playing like mini putt or whatever, you always start from the hole and figure out how you got there. You know what I mean? Or how you will get there. Yeah. So, that was like what he was doing. And I do think that was a smart play. But there wasn't much follow through. I feel like
the straw really just took away all of his credibility.
And Alyssa was really good too. And I felt like I saw in the peripherals of the camera almost that she like almost literally had it. She was down at the bottom. It was like, but they didn't really cut to that. Now, like I was expecting a lot more like back and forth, like who's it gonna be? Who's it gonna be? When they do that on other shows and like one person's like 2 miles away and not even close, but they still cut, like The Amazing Race will do that.
Yeah.
And I was expecting more of that, like, that cut back and forth, and they just didn't do it. So I didn't like the editing on this episode.
I can agree with you there as well, that like I knew what was going to happen, but I thought that they would have tried to create some tension. Just like
and I didn't know what was going to happen, and there was none. So it was just,
it was kind of all focused on him, because I don't even remember seeing how anybody else did in the competition at all. Yeah,
that was like pretty much
like who else played. Like I didn't see Tiffany. I didn't see her play once.
They talked about I forget all their names. What's the surfer guy? Derek.
Travis.
Derek's the smart guy. There's 2 Dereks. Travis. They talked about Travis and how, and because he was doing something that was like he was doing the same thing over again, and there was a side comment on that. How he's like maybe not that smart, but other than that, it was really, really, really focused on Derek X.
So we learned that Derek X wins this competition. Now, do you think, so him and Travis are really good friends. Him and Kyland are pretty decent friends. And, Kyland and Kyland and him on the first night really hung out together the whole night. They bonded there. But him and Travis also kind of bonded because Travis was going to be hiring him maybe to work at his startup company, and it's like they've been talking more and bonding as well. So what would you do to put yourself in a better situation to use or not to use the veto?
I think I would have. I mean, listen, if I heard Frenchie was coming after me anyway, then I wouldn't be worried about pissing him off. But at the same time, I would have definitely tried to make it like maybe he wants it used. So I would go up to him and be like, hey, what do you want me to do? Like kind of what he was doing. Like, what do you want me to do with it? Because like I'm open. So, tell me, I want to work with you. Tell me what you want me to do. And if it aligned with what I wanted to do,
yeah, then you go.
Then so be it. And if it doesn't, well, it's probably coming after you anyway. So, I mean, but use that as an opportunity to, you have 50-50 shot anyway. So it's like, make him think that you're doing his work, his bidding. So,
one thing that you didn't get to see was before the renom, like this nomination. The the veto ceremony. Before that happened, he changed his mind, Frenchie, and wanted Alyssa to be the one that Derek X used the veto on. And he's like, no, absolutely not. Like at this point, like it's like days and days have gone by where he's promised Kylan like 1,000 times that he was going to be using it on him, using it on him, using it on him. But then Frenchie changed his mind and he wanted Kylan to be the new target because he's like, oh, he's just so nice and likable and nice. Like if he gets to the end of the game, like he's winning. He's winning.
He is though nice and likable. But I mean, that's an easy out for me to just be like, I can't. I've promised him and a lot of other people that that's what was going to happen and what we're doing. I can't change that right now. That puts me in a really terrible position, and I really can't put myself in that position. So, I mean, I wish that maybe we decided this a couple days ago. You could say, but to me, that's an easy kind of like way to get out of that without pissing Frenchie off. Or, I mean, if Frenchie decides to still be upset about it, that's on you, you know, because there's a reasonable explanation as to why.
Well, it's just kind of like they made it seem as though this week ends up going exactly the way Frenchie wanted it to. When, you know, Derek uses the veto on Kylan, up goes Travis now. And now Travis is on the block next to Alyssa. Alyssa's part of his Slaughterhouse Alliance. And so Travis is most likely going home, and his weekend, his head of household reign was a success. Was it a success, Jonathan?
No. Because even if he wanted to go home, went home, it's not a success because ultimately head of household is not only about saving yourself that week, but it's about positioning. Mm-hmm. And he has not put himself in a good position. So, yeah, it's not a success. It's a failure.
Not a success, but
do well, Frenchie. I mean, I have Hannah, I have Kristen, I have who's my other one?
Hannah, Christian, Frenchie, and
Sarah Beth. There we go.
Sarah Beth. Sarah Beth, haven't seen much of her, but I'm liking her for the most part on the feeds. The one thing that I don't think this is too spoilery, but she wants to target Derek X. Like that's who she wants to target because apparently he said her name once or something. And I'm just kind of like, Sarah Beth, he doesn't really have any power. Like you don't need to be targeting who everybody in the house wants to target. Like maybe put somebody that really has some power that can make some damage as opposed to little Derek X that doesn't even know how to play the game. Like, you know, chill out. But other than that, though, she has surprised me a lot. I love her alliance with Tiffany and Claire. I think that if one of them gets power this next week, I think that they can lay the land of the game as opposed to like whatever like nonsense that Frenchie did for his week, and they can really set the tone a little bit better and more in their favor. So I'm very excited to see who wins head of household.
It's exciting. It's like this has been chaos, so it's kind of like, you know, I think the second week will really kind of like define how it's going to go in the future. Yeah.
Well, I enjoyed talking about this with you. Do you have anything else about the episode you wanted to mention?
Well, we didn't talk about the replacement nom, did we?
Oh, Travis, a little bit, but Travis was the replacement nom. Mm-hmm.
So my question is, do we think he's going home tomorrow?
It seems that way. He hasn't done any campaigning. He said that he planned on waiting until Wednesday night to campaign. Him and Tiffany had some heart-to-hearts, and she kind of talked to him about the game and what he needed to do, and that he should go to Frenchie and talk to him and say this, and this, and try to see if he can get Frenchie on side with keeping him. Gotcha. Because she wanted to keep Kylan, but I think she would rather keep Travis because Travis is on her team. And so she and Claire were trying to coach him into figuring out what he could do to maybe stay. I just don't think he has the social chops to be able to do so. They're not going to put their game on the line to try and save them just in case Alyssa wins. Alyssa stays and wins and sees that they voted against her. Unless it's a sure thing, I don't think that they're going to go against the house.
I was expecting for him to drive me nuts, but I mean, he seemed really nice, and I have nothing. Nice. Whose draft is he part of?
Mine.
Oh,
I have Alyssa as well, so I was in no man's land. I had all the people that had any sort of like Kylan.
Was yours too?
Yeah, Kylan, Alyssa, and Travis.
That
Claire's,
sounds like my draft, but you got it this time around. Okay.
but like the people though, I still think that they were such great people. I mean, Travis was my default last pick.
Yeah.
But
we have a point system maybe?
yes,
We need to be
so
updating that
we'll
at the end of the
update
week, I guess.
point system tomorrow, and then I'll share it with you. I started making the whole template, and then I got sidetracked, and so I didn't finish it. So I was going to bring it on for you, but then I didn't get it done. So I will have it ready for you for next week. And if you want to come on and talk about the eviction episode tomorrow, we could go over the points as well if you are interested.
Yeah, I don't mind doing the points myself. Like if you have enough going on already, but I'm going to make sure all the viewers know who's winning each week.
Okay, Jonathan, I'll make it a shareable Google document so you can add and make sure that everybody gets it.
Yes. Play along with us, guys. Play along.
Yay, play along.
Yeah, so interesting episode. Not that exciting, but lots still happening. So we'll
week
see.
one. It's a good week one. It's really good. So thanks, BB, and thanks, Sophie, for hanging out with us in the chat. If you are on with us later, please subscribe. One of these. We are just looking to build a community of people that love reality TV as much as we do. Leave a comment. Who do you think? I guess I'll put the teams in the description box below. Who do you think, now that this whole week has played off, has the best team and who has the worst team? I think I know what's going to happen with that. And if you have any comments about the episode, what do you think about Frenchie? What do you think about how he's playing this game? Who do you want to be the next head of household? Who do you want to be the next head of household, Jonathan?
On the spot. I don't who's part of my Derek F.
Okay. Okay, that might be messy, because if he's final two is Frenchie, he's gonna do what Frenchie wants.
I need Frenchie to stay. To stay on my draft.
You do need Frenchie to stay. Well, it's been a pleasure, Jonathan. We'll see everybody later. Ciao.
Bye.
Bye.